Bonjour everyone, Pantoufleee here today for a new video in which we're going to discuss about the best, or I should say all the tier 10 tech tree tank you should definitely have in your garage, because I receive that question every single time I'm streaming, so I'm going to try to answer it once and for all. And we start off with the first one of that list, aka the Ice 4, and for each tank I'm going to explain to you briefly why this tank is in this list and why it's important for you to get it. First thing first, the IS4, which is the tank I would advise every single player in this goddamn game to get, especially newbies. Why? This tank is naturally angled and has a really strong armor. Therefore, when you are using it, guys, it's quite easy for you to bounce without doing anything, which will allow you not to get punished for every single mistake you make. If you combine that with a good mobility for the armor profile it has, plus the amazing gun on both the alpha damage, the reload time, but also the penetration, it's definitely a go-to tank and probably the first tank you ever want to get when you get into World of Tank Blitz. Playing and talking only about Russian tanks, why the T62A? Simply because out of all the mediums available at tier 10, this is the one that is literally the best in every single playstyle this game has to offer, beside obviously side scrape, but not a single tank in this game or medium is made for side scrape beside maybe the E50M. But for all the others, this is the best one when it comes to hull down position. This is also the best one when it comes to gun depression, or mostly the best one, because you also have the Progetto and the STB, which are featuring best gun depression. But let's say that overall, when you take the overall statistics of the T62A, this is probably the best medium in the tech tree, so definitely a tank you want to have. Russia, because Russians are featuring the best tanks. Object 268, the tier 10 tank destroyer. Same as the Ice 4, the gun is literally amazing and the tank is naturally angled, which will allow you not to get punished for every single mistakes you make. Plus, it has an insane module damage per shot with its gun, which means that with this tank you have more chances than with every single other tank destroyers of this game, beside the bigger calibers such as the AV1A3 and the Jagdpanzer E100, to actually go for some ammo rack, fuel damage, and therefore put people on fire. That's probably why this is the tank you definitely want to have. And if you combine also that with the fact that it has spaced armor on the sides, which can make you have incredible bounces even when you're not angled at all, it's definitely a go-to tank as well. Finally, we talk about something else than the Russians. So why do we talk about the T125 in this top? You can ask me, because we already talked about the Ice 4, which is overall better because it doesn't have any weak spot on the turret. We talk about this one simply because it's featuring 10 degrees of gun depression, which is the best gun depression at tier 10. And as it combines both an amazing gun depression, which will allow you to work on every single hilly terrains, with a turret that is extremely armored beside that cupola, which is still quite hard to get, you get yourself one of the most versatile heavies when it comes to playing in hull down. And as you have a lot of hilly maps and hilly positions on every single maps of this game, it's definitely a tank you want to have in your garage. Let's stick to heavy tanks, talking about the Heavy-215B, aka the tier 10 British heavy tank, and it's probably the only one in this list that some people will probably disagree with me, and let me explain to you briefly. For me, the Heavy-215B is a really good alternative to the T125. It's not necessarily the same tank while being exactly the same at the same time. I don't really know how I could explain it better, but basically the T125 is here to stay in hull down, but the Heavy-215B does it the same way, of course, in a worse way, as it doesn't feature the amazing turret armor the T125 has. But you had, on top of that, the mobility of a medium when it comes to the traverse speed, which will allow you to switch the playstyle from heavies to medium when needed, which makes the Heavy-215B one of the best tanks to counter the mediums, as you are featuring the exact same gun in terms of DPM, but with a way better alpha damage, which makes you the best counter to mediums, and that's why it deserves its place on its top. I couldn't do that top without talking about the Ori, which is not so known among the community because not a lot of people are aware that this tank is literally a beast. There are two things that make me want to put that tank in this list, and obviously take it only when you have the skill and when you exactly know how to play it. The first thing is the gun, which features an amazing gun depression, but also an amazing gun penetration, which will definitely allow you to destroy everything on the battlefield without having to struggle about finding weak spots on tank. This is something extremely interesting to notice on the battlefield, and it's really going to change your life and increase your average damage, as you are nearly never going to miss and never going to bounce anything. That's the first thing. On top of that, you had the fact that this tank features a really good armor and a good mobility. The armor profile being quite trollish if you manage to wiggle. You have yourself one of the greatest tank destroyers and greatest snapshottings at tier 10, snapshotting tanks I should say. So yeah, definitely a tank you want to add in your garage. First thing first, the gun. You already know how the gun works. It's an amazing gun when it comes to brawling, and this tank is meant to be played aggressively. It's naturally angled, which will allow you to have some good games, plus the mobility. It's definitely a tank you want to have just for you to have fun. It's not necessarily a tank you want to use in tournaments or anything like that, because everybody's going to spam gold, and with gold shell it's actually quite easy to go through the frontal plate of that tank. But if you are playing just in regular battles in FFA, trust me, this is the tank you want to go for if you want to have some fun. Why do you want to get that tank? Because it's featuring the auto reloading mechanism, and it's extremely important to understand how it works, because when you're playing an auto reloader at tier 10, you will switch both from the traditional auto loader playstyle that is featured on the T57 Heavy or the AMX50B, and you can also play as a regular auto reloader like it's the case on the Kranwagen or the Progetto itself. Therefore, with this tank, you are going to climb up your experience to be able to play correctly the other tanks that are either auto reloaders or auto loaders. So it's a really good tank to train. And on top of that, it's an amazing tank because it has a good mobility, a good armor, and obviously an extremely accurate and good gun. Finally, I couldn't do that top without talking about the mighty TVP T50 T51, the brand new tier 10 Czechoslovakian medium tank. Why is it in this top? Not because it's a suitable tank by itself, but because that tank, when played in the correct platoon, is devastating. I will do a video about that, how to play the TVP in platoon, because it's truly a game changer tank when you are playing it correctly in a platoon with a platoon mate playing most of the time a medium to be able to support you. So yeah, this is the kind of tank out of all the support tanks that are existing at tier 10. This is to me the most effective one, thanks to its amazing 1.2k bursting abilities with its 4 shells, never mind, and therefore it deserves its place on this top. Anyway, it's finished. I know it was quite a fast video, but I just wanted to do that video to explain to people why they should go either for this or this tank, and it will allow them to understand and not to ask me again and again and again in stream. So I hope people interested will take a look at this video and answer their questions by themselves. Hopefully you enjoyed. If that's the case, feel free to subscribe, like and share, and I'm gonna see you soon for a new video. Bye guys.